Welcome to Chronic Combat Conversations, a live look at our best bets, picks, and predictions for every UFC event with your host, TB Scouting MMA and
the Guru back again for UFC Louisville. We got Jared Cannonier taking on Nasruddin Imavov in your middleweight main event. But before we can get in to this crazy card from the I gotta say it, the KFC Yum Center, we've got a very special guest in the building. If you were watching Narco Cops Lambo Plays Pod last week, you saw this guy on here as well. He jumps around with him all the time. Make sure you're following Sean Orr over on Twitter because I'm telling you, sharp analysis. Can't wait to get into this guy's head and see what he's got cooking for us. Sean, thank you so much for joining us. First time guest, but I feel like I know you, buddy. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Thanks for having me, guys. I'm excited to talk about this card. It's a tricky one, of course. UFC Louisville. Odd place to host a card, but excited for that. And I'm curious to hear your guys' thoughts too.
You know what's an odd place to host a card? A fucking abandoned warehouse in the middle of the desert. That's a weird place to host a card. I fucking love it. The KFC Yum Center, give it to me. I love it.
I'm a little weirded out though. How did they not have Nate Maness on this card? Right?
And he's fighting like next week or the weekend.
Friend of the show too.
What's that about? I mean, all of us in the MMA community love Nate Maness, right? The guy's always active, talking with us, and I'm kind of raising an eyebrow a little bit here. Like, give the man a fight in his hometown. He deserves it.
He really does.
I would
That's
agree.
A wonderful question. I don't know who his manager is.
I think we're going to have to find out. You never know. But as we're getting into it, before we have an awesome time breaking down this card, I got a job for you people in the chat. Shout out Daz. Yeah, check out the pro guest this week. Yeah, we're having a good time. Make sure you hit that bad boy. Have a good time for us. That Tangelo boost from SoCal. If you're drinking something, drink it. If you're smoking something, smoke it. We're here to have a great time. Chronic Combat Conversations live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. EST, EDT, whatever you want to call it. Low T.
We're in EDT. You have low T and ED. These are totally separate issues.
Right. We'll have to cover that at a later point. But we bring on the best guests. Now, we got the bets. We got breakdowns. We got a pretty solid straight pick percentage if you're following us on Tapology/Instagram, wherever. But if you're into the DFS, if you need a place to find the best odds at this moment, if you need a place to find what the best odds are on a specific prop at this moment, well, let me direct you over.
Live
as well. Our friends over at FightNumbers.com, John Kelly and the whole crew, Pepe Sylvia, Evan D, Giga Chad, and Ozzy, they got a solid crew over there. If you guys want their professional picks in place too, and you don't trust us at Chronic Combat with our grandma's couch cushions, well, that's up to you. You make your choices. If you're looking to pay, well, let me tell you, we got a deal. 30% off if you use the promo code Chronic. So go ahead, check out FightNumbers.com because look at this. You know, they got a lot of different stuff that you guys might be able to use. So shout out you guys in the chat. Make sure you're hitting the like button before we get started here. And if you're watching the replay, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you like the show and leave a comment as well. Let us know what you're thinking, what your best bet is, and what your picks for this event are. Because UFC Louisville, I got to say I was impressed with Guru's pronunciation off the top. Fantastic job from my co-host here. And then, man, I feel like we got a ton of close lines. So here we are right off the rip. It's the killer gorilla, Jared Cannonier, versus the sniper, Nasruddin Imavov. Should be a pretty good fight. I mean, a middleweight main event. You know what that means. Fights go in the distance, right? That's it's kind of the trend here overall. Over 4.5 at -160, under 4.5 at +124. The killer gorilla has the slight underdog at +102. Imavov at -122. Man, I feel like it's a pretty tough fight to break down because there's a lot of things that could happen. I mean, Imavov is pretty well-rounded. There's a chance that if he doesn't like how things are going on the feet, he could be shooting for takedowns, or he could be playing off the back foot, skirting around the nice larger octagon in Louisville, you know, not in the Apex warehouse as Guru was alluding to. So maybe the sniper's able to use his space, pick apart the killer gorilla from range, and do what he needs to secure a 5-round decision victory. But as I've seen in a lot of Jared Cannonier fights recently, I mean, this guy's getting wobbled, rocked, nearly dropped by just about everybody, whether it's Derek Brunson or, Robert Whitaker. Yeah, for sure. But even Marvin Vettori, 30 seconds into the absolute drubbing he put on him, oops, switches southpaw for a second, and bam, there you go. Not feeling so hot, are you, Jared? But, he's shown the ability to recover, the ability to fight through. And at 40 years old, coming off of an MCL injury where he had to pull out of what he wanted to take as a short notice matchup against Khamzat Chimaev. Well, now you've got Imavov, and man, I think there's a lot that I didn't give credit for Imavov. I don't think he's the best, defensively from a grappling perspective, but there haven't been a ton of guys that have been able to take advantage of that. And as close as Stolze was to getting some of that clinch and a lot of that cage pushing, you never really successfully got the fight to the mat. And Just Win Baby, you probably commented way too early before the show started. Didn't even see the comment, but we never delete any. Good guess.
Never delete your comment. That's
a
hell of an accusation, my friend. Listen, you want to throw some dueling gloves, man? We'll slap some dueling gloves around because we have never deleted somebody's comment ever. That's crazy. So,
good guess for once. He must be shit talking himself because he's been on the show himself twice. So that is, we do appreciate a good little something. And he's been on recently. Shout out Rich, Mush of the Week. Oh, wait a second. You guys should go check out his content. I'm not going to ruin it. So the Killer Gorilla here, I couldn't pull the trigger. I feel I've seen him have success in volume and in moments, but I think Imavov is a little bit more layered of a striker than a guy like Marvin Vettori, who's just a meathead and running forward into all your strikes. Imavov is at least going to try to be defensive. So, and he's got a really solid distance striking defense. It's just, sure. The clinch with Phil Hawes, the clinch with Roman Dolidze, I just don't think Jared Cannonier really does that to an extent. So the worst part of Imavov's game, in my estimation, probably isn't exposed in this fight. And he probably gets the type of fight he wants where he could take it to where he feels most comfortable in the moment. So minus 122, I think that's some pretty solid value. I think the over 4.5 is also a great look. Fight goes the distance here. Just like last week where we had the 5-round Costa Strickland. 5-round, 185. I'm liking the distance. What do you got, Guru?
Well, you know that is my play because I texted you that earlier in the week. But yeah, absolutely. I certainly think that this fight takes place over 25 minutes. I think that both guys are very durable, and they've showed that throughout their career. Honestly, Jared Cannonier, right? You've already said it, TV, getting wobbled versus Marvin Vettori. Wobbled versus Derek Brunson. You could call that a wobble. It's been an interesting road for Jared, right? He's one of those guys that, doesn't maybe seem as old as he is, but he also doesn't seem like he's fought in 3 weight classes. He's revitalized his career multiple times, right? So he's out at 40 years old, coming off MCL surgery, against a guy significantly younger than him, faster than him, and just as durable. And like you said, TB, I think if you wanted to beat Nasruddin Imavov, you're really going to have to control him and not let him work at range. And Jared Cannonier, at the end of the day, what he does want to work at range. And I think over time, especially, he's going to struggle. So I'm going to go with Nasruddin Imavov here, but I also really like fight going the distance at minus 128. We can get over on FanDuel. I think that that's a great line. And I don't fucking trust the judges. Anytime I can get away from having to stick my flag or stick my money on a fighter on a side, I'm starting to do it because I don't fucking trust anybody. And I'm telling you this, I'm never betting a split decision prop ever again, because any fight that's actually a split decision goes unanimous, and any fight that is as clear as fucking day is a split decision. So not doing it. What do you think, Sean?
Yeah, it's an interesting fight. I mean, Jared Cannonier's been a money train for me. He's pretty underappreciated. It was obvious he was going to beat Sean Strickland, and Strickland had the sentiment going into the fight. Everybody loved Strickland. So I love Jared Cannonier. He's a local guy here. I don't think there's any guy in the UFC who has worked harder than him, honestly. He's been around for forever, 40 years old, still gaining new skills as he ages, lost all the weight, fought at heavy originally, and now he's down to this weight. But Father Time is undefeated, 40 years old, coming off of an injury. Imavov, he's no slouch. He's a young guy. He's got speed. He's got power. I actually like the under more than the over personally. I know that it's a at this point where overs have been cashing like crazy on main events, but sometimes you have to be a little bit contrarian. And the way I feel this fight can go is a few different ways. I think if you bet the Imavov KO1, you're going to be capturing a lot of equity on his side because Jared has been getting hurt in a lot of fights. He's been getting stung by guys he really shouldn't be getting stung by. You had mentioned Vettori. That guy shouldn't be hurting anybody. I mean, Vettori doesn't even know how to turn over on his punches. I mean, he's got this very like wide upper body, and he literally can't turn his elbow over on a punch. So he has no power. So that's pretty concerning for Jared. I think that Imavov can put him away early if he tries to. But of course, the fight can play out in a number of different ways where maybe it extends. But either way, I could see, let's say Jared comes true to form. I could see potentially him melting Imavov down the stretch. But overall, I would say it's going to be an under. It's going to be Imavov money line. And I think he gets it done. Too bad, too, because I love Jared. So I love this guy. He's won me so much money, and he's an absolute dog. But I think he's going to have to put the crystals away this week. And I don't think the crystals are going to work.
He might need double the crystals for this one, Sean. I don't know. He might have to double down because he's going to need something. That's for sure.
He might need to outsource for some French-Russian crystals to combat Nasruddin Imavov here.
Imavov sub, that could be an interesting take here. Could have some juice potentially.
I like that. Sub.
Yeah, I feel like Jared is just generally very difficult to control and submit. Jared had more tape on, better comp, and injuries or no injuries, you need time to recoup. Doesn't matter your age. And yeah, for sure, it's just with each roadblock and time off, it's like, where is his timing at? Has he been like just rehabbing, or has he been like fully sparring the whole time? I'm sure he's ready to go here, but yeah, we'll see. So ultimately, sounds like we're all on the sniper here. A nice little triumvirate of agreement. So minus 122, I think it's worth at least a 1.22 to win one. I think there's something I need to evaluate about my betting style, and it's that, like, where are these, like, I feel like the majority of the time, if you're betting a money line, it should be about to win a unit, unless there's like a real legitimate reason you should be putting more. Like, I need to figure out my scaling, I feel like sometimes. I'm not sure why I do more on some versus not on others. Like, what are the reasons that get us to more units is my question.
It's supposed to be. Theoretically, it should be more confidence. But if you don't actually have that confidence, or you like have gusto about it and like think you're more confident in something that you haven't fully explored, well, then you're going to fall trap.
Yeah, I think that's where I'm just trying to evaluate the style, always trying to get better. So,
well, there's two ways you should look at it. I mean, one is the confidence interval, right? Like you had mentioned, but the other is you're assigning a percentage you're picturing how the fight's going to go, and then you're assigning percentages for who's going to win, right? And depending on where the line is, if the gulf between the percentages is larger, well, it warrants a larger bet, right? So like you should, I think sticking to being safe if you're unsure, like let's say you think it's a close fight, to win one unit should be the minimum. I don't really understand when people are like, I'm going to do it to win a half a unit. Just don't even bother betting it. It should be to win 1 unit minimum.
Right. That makes sense. And hey, listen, I think that's part of the metagame. If you guys have a system that you like in the chat, let me know. I'm open to ideas, but I feel like there really needs to be an analysis sometimes of like what your style is. So I'm currently in the midst of that experience. So here we go.
Sorry, I did want to say about Sean's.
Yeah,
we didn't even get to it, but I did want to say about Sean's breakdown about the finish perspective is that I really did. I agreed exactly with what he said. I felt that if Nasruddin gets the finish, right, I definitely think it's like that earlier round 1, round 2 kind of catches him, hurts him, and I also agreed that if Jared somehow is the one that is getting the finish, then I think it's more attritionally later, as maybe Nasruddin could possibly be the one with worse cardio.
Yeah,
I thought that was sharp.
Well, fair enough. I appreciate
And
that.
We'll see if it is.
That is the test of time awaits all of us. So now here we are. We have Dominic the Devastator Reyes versus Dustin the Hanyak Jacoby. Dominic Reyes is one knockout loss away from having to change his nickname to the Devastated instead of the Devastator. It's getting really close. Tides are about to turn. But the question here is, what can Dustin Jacoby do to put it on Dominic? That's where I'm like looking into, just if you take away the narrative of the chin of Dominic Reyes and you just look at what they do as fighters, I don't necessarily see, I mean, aside from like volume and leg kicks, I don't see necessarily where like Dustin Jacoby is on another level per se. Like, I think his volume comes with not landing with anywhere near as much fight ending power. And some of the guys that he's finished, it does leave a little bit more to be desired. And you watch the way that his takedown defense, I mean, I don't think that it's necessarily improved, but yeah, his get-up game, his jiu-jitsu seems to have gotten a bit better. But for all this talk of Dominic Reyes and the narrative surrounding his chin, Dustin Jacoby's been knocked down more times in the UFC and recently. So at the plus 200 line and seeing Dominic Reyes working in a couple wrestling-based camps, thinking, you know, I mean, obviously this is the one chance here. And yeah, I mean, sure, there's probably a solid chance of Dustin Jacoby just being able to connect with a punch, and Dominic just doesn't quite have it anymore. Some blood clot scares outside the cage, some other health stuff. But for a guy at the level that he was, having the size advantage, being the, you know, maybe the slightly younger guy, and Jacoby's lost like 3 out of his last 4 also. Like, let's not forget that. So I don't necessarily think that, aside from Dominic's, the reason the line is where it is more because of Dominic than because of Dustin in this case for me. So I have to take a little bit of a shot here on Dom Reyes. I think that there's a solid chance that he is able to survive what Dustin Jacoby brings to the table. And if anyone is liable to use their wrestling in this fight, it's going to be him. So I'll take a small dog shot at plus 200. I think it's worth it. Well, I got it plus 200 on Caesars. This is the DraftKings line plus 190. See what you can do if you feel the same. But I don't blame you if you're passing or taking a Jacoby round 1 knockout, round 2 knockout. I think there's a lot to be said for that as well.
Yeah, listen, I'm very concerned about Dominic Reyes' chin. He's continued to take like the recommended amount of time off in between fights, and it hasn't necessarily helped his chin. Getting knocked out by Ryan Spann with the power jab. We saw that one live. That was absolutely nuts. Yeah, I just feel like, kind of like you said, TB, and you kind of maybe pointed me onto it. I just feel like the line is a bit wide, right? I mean, you look at his last fights. He's a minus 200 favorite against Ryan Spann. He's Pick'em versus Jiri Prochazka. He's a minus 250 favorite versus Jan Blachowicz. Now we're getting him at plus 200 against a guy in Dustin Jacoby, who, while I was very happy when he knocked out Inzetra Crew and Dong Jung, knocking out them and Darren Stewart and Justin Ledet, like, I'm not impressed. Does Dominic Reyes' chin fall in that category? Absolutely. But at plus 200, like, if he dies, he dies. Like, I'll take a chance on the money line here if it extends out, because if it does, Dom Reyes has power of his own. Dustin Jacoby's been dropped himself. That's why he lost against Alonzo Menafield. Dude won 13 minutes of that fight. 13 and a half minutes of that fight. He loses 2 giant moments, one in round 2, one in round 3, and loses the fight. Like, clear. But it is what it is. That's the game. So could Dom do something similar? Honestly, he possibly could. But it's been a long time since we've seen that power. I mean, a long time. He knocked out Chris Weidman in 2019. Like, what are we even talking about? So, yeah. I don't really love it. I think maybe just fight going the distance again in general might just be the way to play it. What is the line on that?
No, over 2.5 at plus 114.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Plus 170 if fight goes distance. That's what it is. I think it's about fading the narrative, but not going too far. As much as I like think my way through it here, I do love my plus 200 on Dom. I don't actually love it. I love it, but I don't love it. You know what I mean? Sean, do you know what I mean? Or am I fucking crazy?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to get into why I know this, but I do know that his chin issues are real, and it's concerning. So, just going to throw that out there. I know I know for a fact that the chin issues are real. It's very concerning.
And the blood clot.
What'd you say?
And the blood clot.
I mean, regardless of all that, I'll just tell you this. I knew about the chin issues before the Ryan Spann fight. So I knew about that already, just from people I talked to. So I think that the guy is cooked, unfortunately. I will say, to your point, though, this is a very winnable fight because just Dustin Jacoby's hands aren't good. None of the guys from this camp, this Factory X camp, can box. And they all have bad defense. They're all just these kicky outside fighter. I mean, look at all of them. Royval is that way. Who else? I don't know. They all fight. Martinez, Justin Martinez or whatever. So, yeah, I think it's a winnable fight for Reyes for a couple of reasons. I think that maybe he can land a bomb on Dustin Jacoby if he has the confidence. I see that he is training. He's kind of traveling around and training at some different high-level camps. So hopefully that does him some good. But number one, I don't know how seriously this guy has been taking his career outside of fight camp. I do think that fighting is a pretty low priority for Dominic Reyes. And I know for a fact his chin issues are real. So for me, it's probably going to be a big stay away. Unless coming up to the fight, I'm confident, in an under. I'm not going to bet an over. I'm not going to sweat an over. My buddy C, he used to say he'd rather jerk off with sandpaper than bet Derek Lewis over. I'm kind of feeling the same way here with this fight. There's no chance I'm going to bet an over on a Dominic Reyes fight based on what I know. The only bet I could see myself making on this fight would be an under and then a Dominic Reyes money line. That would be the only bets, but it's a pass.
And I completely understand that. Maybe sometimes the more responsible thing to do is not bet plus 200 on Dom Reyes, even if you're given the opportunity. Lou Betcha, Sean Orr, Master being awesome, and his friend TV. Guru, of course, non-selling it as per usual. Oh, and Lou, hello, chat. I think I covered. I'm going to get these guys a room one day. They got to aggressively handle whatever sexual attention that they have. It's pretty funny. I
want to mention something, though, really quick. There's nothing wrong with a plus 200 Dominic Reyes bet because he has fought the higher level competition. So if he comes back to any sort of form, he really should beat a guy like Jacoby. So I don't think there's anything wrong with taking that bet, taking that chance. I think that's
yeah, exactly. And I'm acknowledging it's a chance, and I'm sure that the Dustin Jacoby round 1, round 2 knockout combo is going to be pretty solid. So if you need
price, bro, it's probably going to be a terrible price, I would say.
So no need to hedge.
You take the round 2, round 3 combo.
I don't understand. If you think Dom's chin is shot and you think he's being finished, why are overs even potentially
because
a thought? Like if you're not betting Dom, why are you betting?
Other than when he goes absolutely brawl mode apeshit with Spann and got finished in 2 seconds, it does take a little bit of time.
Bro, he was so, I'm going to tell you, he was so fucked going into that fight. I'm going to tell you.
And that's why I'm happy. I mean, he took a legitimate amount of time off at this point, but there's no guarantees, right? So
I don't trust it. I don't like it. And Dustin Jacoby can sit on a shot. He really can. Like, I just think I just think he chooses not to most of the time because he's worried about cardio.
All right, we'll see. I think El Nino Problema, Raul Rosas Jr. versus Ricky Hadouken Turcios, plus 190, over 2.5, minus 160, under 2.5, plus 124. This fight rebooked after the 5-minute pre-fight withdrawal by Raul Rosas.
I hated this fight 4 months ago, and I still hate it now, if anybody was curious.
Yeah. I feel like Ricky Turcios is about to run into a problema. It's my thought here. I
An
just
El
don't trust
Nino
him.
problema.
He gives up tons of takedowns. Yeah, exactly. El Nino problema. He gives up tons of takedowns. In general, usually is giving up his back on his stand-up. So even though he has like a solid get-up game, it's like at what cost against a guy like Rosas, who, I mean, like, he's probably going to be more willing to actually be in the pocket where he can land strikes, given what we've seen out of Ricky occasionally. So, I mean, I wouldn't hate anybody just deciding to pass on this fight. I just don't think it's a dogger pass. I think it's like playing over pass. Like, I mean, Ricky, he's a bit tough to finish, right? He's been to decision in all of his losses here. So Rosas, while he's a bit of a prodigy, he also didn't finish, Mando on Contender Series. So maybe it's just Ricky consistently giving up his back in scrambles and being controlled, but Rosas not being able to find a finish. So I have an idea of like Raul Rosas Jr., like one plus takedown and like over 4.5 minutes, and you're probably somewhere in plus money territory.
I hate it. I hate this fight so much. Listen, I don't really trust Raul Rosas on the feet, but at the same time, you can't really trust Ricky Turcios anywhere because whatever, he landed 20% of his strikes versus Ayman Zahabi, and the Kevin Natividad fight was absolutely abysmal. Red flag in terms of anything, maybe in terms of Raul Rosas having to pull out of the last fight, needing 4 months here to come back. Seemed that Turcios was ready, but I don't know. Ricky's really tough to finish, so I guess unless your name is Mana Martinez, which is a really strange knockout. Yeah, I like the fight to go the distance. I guess I've said that like 3 times already, so I'm sure I'm gonna catch one here. But I like the fight to go. I definitely don't think he's gonna knock him out, and I'm not convinced that he subs him. But hey, the sub would be pretty cool.
Is this Terrence Mitchell?
Pepe's like fuck it ball, round 1 KO, of course. Sounds about right.
Agreed. Yeah. I'm a tenant. For Propaholic. Yeah, I agree that over is the best look personally.
Yeah.
I could just see him scrambling a whole lot. Rosas has shit control. You would think, given his like body type and the way he grapples, you would think he knew how to sit down on a hip, but he really doesn't. He's so content on trying to take backs, trying to flow, using all of his energy, slipping off the back. So, I mean, what is his name? Mando Gutierrez or whatever was scrambling just fine with Rosas. I don't think that Turcios is really going to have a problem to scramble with Rosas. So, yeah, I think it's going to go over. And it's probably going to be a Rosas decision just based off of, controlling. And I agree with TB. I think that, single game parlay is probably going to be a slam dunk in this fight. They're probably going to give us some really stupid, 1 takedown, 2 takedown overs, significant strikes. I'm already looking at the significant strike numbers and they look pretty good. So that's probably what I'm going to do as well.
Nice. Love it. Same game parlay city. I feel like I've gotten away from it, and it's like such a good move. It's I can't track it on BetMGM. It's like, who gives a fuck? I'm trying to win bets. So, God damn it.
Yeah, I don't know that you've gotten away from it as much as it's never really been ventured into because it's a fairly new thing for MMA. I know we love it for football, but that's because that's basically where it first like originated and was like the most popular. But like we do need to start looking at all that shit for MMA. Especially if we're not going to do a DFS, we should at least look into same game parlays.
It's an easy market to beat for sure.
Love it. Bruno the Hulk Ferreira, Dustin the Diamond in the Rough, Stolze.
So here's the thing. You can't call him Diamond in the Rough. Wait, so why is it Dustin the?
Because he's Dustin the Diamond. but then he's
No.
really just like
No,
the
first off,
dominant,
because it's
heavy in the
disrespectful to Dustin the Diamond. Okay? And the only way I'm letting you call him that is if you're picking him this week, which I know you're not. So that nickname fucking is the worst.
Shanar, welcome to now. You got to pull out your Jerry Springer skills because this is what happens every week. I come up with the most horrible, fantastic nicknames I possibly can.
No, you're shit. You're actually shit. This is terrible. I don't co-sign this.
You guys should have like some kind of a video effect where it's like branding alert, and you're rebranding a fighter.
Yes,
like alarms are going off.
Nobody pays us to do this though. We just do it because it's what needs to be done. Somebody needs to take him down a peg.
Oh, come on. You got to ask your distinguished audience to start chucking you some bones. Come on, guys.
Come on, guys. We need better help from a production standpoint. Our fans need to do better. The Hulk coming in at -258. The Diamond in the Rough at +210. Unfortunately, to my friend Couch Warrior, I don't agree. I don't think he actually is the Diamond in the Rough this week. I think it was just the perfect opportunity the week before. The fight before. He got Buddha Ili Soriano. I mean, come on. How did we end up playing that guy at heavy chuck? What an embarrassment. Now, Bruno Ferreira, we just spent all of last time he was supposed to fight Phil Hawes. I had to listen to everybody in the community tell me how much like Phil Hawes was going to absolutely dominate him until his chin got caught, how he was the much worse fighter. And I'm like, Bruno's actually really good. Like he's solid. I don't understand the hate, and he's got the power advantage and the chin advantage. I stand by the fact that the Ruzaboyev knockout was what just happened there. The Ruzaboyev knockout was very much like a big time fluke. He got a kick caught. He ends up on his back, and that ground and pound with the type of reach advantage that Ruzaboyev had. I mean, like the guy's head was connected to the canvas as the punch is landing. I mean, it's going to hurt. It's not going to look good from a ref standpoint. I don't think Bruno has a chin problem. Okay, well, guess what? Against Dustin Stolze, it wouldn't even matter if he did. On the other side of things here, in the wrestling department, I mean, Gregory Rodriguez, I think, is a way better wrestler and grappler and fighter in general than a guy like Dustin Stolze. And I've seen Bruno Ferreira navigate that territory. Then I watch him take down and have top control success over a highly touted wrestler. I know we always talk shit about Phil Hawes' chin, but Phil Hawes is a really good wrestler, and this guy gets taken down by Bruno Ferreira. Listen, I think that Bruno is a supremely talented guy. Now, where we run into trouble is that this is like the Dolgarian effect. We have no idea what happens when he gets into round two. Well, yeah, round two, he still has a couple of knockouts. Well, we don't really know what happens when it gets into round three if he's getting towards the end. But guess what? I know what happens to Dustin Stolze. He gasses the fuck out as it gets into round three and towards the decision. So I'm really not worried about Bruno here. I got him pretty comfortably. I think if there was going to be a safe parlay piece, it would be him. So famous last words, be careful what you do here. But Bruno, round one, round two, knockout. Dustin's got no defense, and I don't think he's got any cardio or will to be there after Bruno hits him a few times. Let's go, Bruno. Round one, round two, knockout.
Yeah, no, I love it. I feel like Bruno is the safe spot this week. Maybe famous last words, but hey, I called it last week. I said Jailman Jalton was the safe spot of the card, and he was. This week, I feel like it's Bruno Ferreira. I'm not super sold in Dustin Stolze's bill of goods at all. Don't really trust his chin. I don't trust his output. I don't trust his cardio. So I'm not picking him. Not happening. I like the way that Bruno steps through with his combinations. I think he's got power. I think he can wrestle if he needs to. Yeah, I mean, even Just Win Baby saying with the sub, I think that could be that dude just loves money. I get it. You start dreaming about them props. He's got 3 of them. He certainly could do it. Why the hell not? And hey, maybe you go the Chase Hooper route, right? It's Keith Peterson. You're knocking the dude out, but they won't let you. No, he's not dead yet. All right, well, I guess I'll just choke him out instead. So why the fuck not? Bruno Ferreira inside the distance. Bruno Ferreira round 1, round 2. Let's go. What do you think, Sean? We on the right track here?
Yeah, that Chase Hooper one kind of hurt me. I had I had a lot of KO
It
permutation.
hurt. I had KO round 2 and KO in general. And then just the other day when we were on the street for the fan event, we ran into Keith Peterson, and it took me everything not to like say something.
Dude, I had KO to like close out like a huge parlay, and then I had KO 2-3. I'm not as salty about KO 2-3 because honestly, it could have been stopped in round 1. But yeah, fuck that fight. I was so mad. I did have Chase money line, so I did make some money, but I was really pissed actually. This particular fight though, I mean, there's not much to say. Dustin Stolze is a fake German. He's just not very skilled.
I feel like Sean takes this personally. Is this a personal?
The only thing fucking worse than being a German is a fake German.
I mean,
Fucking Dustin.
What's the deal with this dude? He was like living in the U.S. and he's like, I really want to be a German, so he moved. I don't know. The whole thing's weird. So, cool.
The opposite of Abbas Magomedov.
He's obviously an interesting guy, but he's not very skilled. He's not very athletic. He spent most of his development time at some weird German camp. So all the skills he
Wait a minute. What kind of German camps?
Oh Jesus! Oh my Lord!
You're gonna have to get MMA Giga Chat on for that one. He'll talk about those camps. But I just think that Bruno is probably too athletic for Dustin Stolze. And the thing about Dustin Stolze is there's absolutely no reason to bet this man pre-fight. Because let's imagine that the fight is starting to turn, like last fight against Puna. You can just see it happening. You know what I mean? And the guy moves so glacially, and he's not very urgent with his will to go for a finish, that when the fight is happening, if you see Bruno Ferreira maybe slowing down, or maybe let's say he's just off a beat and Stolze is now timing him, it's going to be pretty easy to enter in on Stolze at like plus 500, plus 400, because he's probably going to be getting his ass whooped early in this fight. So yeah, I think that Bruno is I think you called it a safe spot this week. I think Bruno is a pretty safe spot. I think he gets it done early.
Yeah, I totally agree. And all right, so what are the concerns about him only seeing round wide? He has a couple round 2 finishes out there. That's what I've seen. And then the other thing about Bruno is he's not like one of those guys that just goes out there and like swings like an idiot or like throws ridiculous. He's pretty patient. He switches stances. He can fight off the back foot. He can fight off the front foot. He throws kicks. He can show a little bit of a change in levels. Like, I don't think, I'm really not concerned. I think that Dustin is the one that's actually proven that he's a gasser as the fight goes deeper. To gas out and be the one that's having the cardio issues against Rodolfo Vieira, I mean, come on. And I don't know. I think Josh was a casual. It's okay. I appreciate you being here. But come on.
This guy's an asshole. This guy's in my DMs all the time.
Yeah, no. This guy Josh was
frick, you bastard. This square, he made me bet on the Pacers to win the NBA championship. Fuck you, Josh.
Talk about a casual.
Hey, they only beat the fucking Knicks because we were hurt. Get out of here with that.
I lost a whole $50 because of you, Josh. You
50.
son of a bitch.
Talk about a casual picking the Pacers for the championship. Oh, God. You can bet the Mavs, though. That's a good idea. Julian, the Cuban Missile Crisis, a.k.a. TB Scouting MMA Marquez.
Everybody looks like you. Why is everybody your doppelganger? What is up with that?
I don't know. People say. What do you guys think?
Yeah, of course. You're Kelvin Gastelum. You're Julian Marquez. You're everybody.
The fuck, Pepe? That's messed up. Don't pivot here. Don't pivot on us. Don't be like that. And yeah, Sean is the man. We appreciate that. Thank you, Josh, for coming to your senses. Zach Savage Reese, who's pretty savage how he got dumped on his head by Cody, he who must not be nicknamed Brundage. It was pretty hilarious to see that his distance striking defense after one UFC fight is 0%. He's literally never defended a strike on the feet before. And every single punch that's been thrown his way has landed. And Zach Reese, I don't think he really has much to give anybody on the feet. It's pretty much an armbar from guard Merchant, and it wasn't Natan Levy, it was the other disgusting Israeli fraudulent piece of garbage that Zach Reese beat on Contender Series. Eli Aronov, sorry, there he is. That guy just sucked. He puts his arm back in the armbar. Like, DC is like crying about how bad of submission defense, or actually, like, he basically was Zach Reese's submission offense, is how bad his submission defense was. So Zach Reese, I feel like Julian Marquez is actually kind of underrated grappler. He might not be the best wrestler, but I don't think Zach Reese is a good wrestler. I think he's like an opportunistic. Yes, Andrei Arlovsky is the original doppelganger. So, and we're from the same region of Belarus. So shout out TV Arlovsky. Hell yeah. Appreciate you, Pepe, for being a real one. But yeah, Julian, my other doppelganger, Marquez, I think that ultimately he swings heavier. He's going to land when it's in the pocket. And he's got the better submission game. He's a club and sub master. I'm looking for Julian Marquez by submission here. I think Julian Marquez round 1 at plus 225 by itself is pretty solid, because I think Reese might just want to get out of there if things aren't going his way. But Marquez submission at plus 450, like, bug God. Can you please give it to me? Like, Zach Reese is, I feel like.
Oh my God. I bet you want him to give it to you, don't you?
Oh, Lord. All right. So anyways, as this has gone off the rails on the breakdown, TB Arlovsky is going to take a break here. Guru, what do you got?
Honestly, I did. Maybe it's just because I was annoyed with Zach Reese losing to Cody Brundage the way he did, but or maybe it was just him getting slammed was like me getting slammed. It waking me up to, what am I doing betting this guy? And I'm not going to do it here. I'm not taking Zach Reese here. I don't know what exactly I was impressed with that made me bet him versus Cody, but I don't know. But especially after watching him get a possible career-altering slam on his head to try to come back. I guess it's actually only been 6 months, which is crazy. But yeah, I'm not doing it. You know, you look at the way that Julian Marquez got beat by Marc-Andre Barriott, like, Zach Reese isn't fucking doing that. I'm sorry. He's not throwing 19-piece combinations. He's not throwing 90 strikes. Like, it's just not happening. But we've never seen this guy go more than 2 minutes. So I honestly feel pretty good that this fight's not getting out of the first round. So I think you could take the under 1.5. I like Julian Marquez round 1, round 2. TB, I don't think you should go with a method, because Marquez could start to look for a sub, and this dude's chin could just give out. Like, I have no idea what to expect after this dude gets slammed on his fucking brainstem.
He just goes to choke him out, but instead he's like knocked out before the choke's actually in.
It's happened a million times before. I'm telling you. So he's got five knockouts and 4 submissions. You're playing with fire, if you ask me. Julian Marquez by finish, round 1, round 2. That's the way it goes. You know what? Hell, if you love Zach Reese, if you need Zach Reese, don't even take money line. Just take him round 1, because it's his clear win condition. What do you think, Sean?
Yeah. I personally love Cody Brundage, because not only did he cash against Zach Reese, who's a fraud for me, but he also cashed in that Malkoon fight.
You son of a bitch.
Cody Brundage has been a money machine for me, and he's a way to go, Cody. Just keep doing what you're doing. I love you, buddy. But
that's like picking up a $100 bill covered in dog shit.
I mean, Cody's been on my show like twice, so I'm always rooting for him. And that DQ is all time for me. I was like, fuck yes, Cody, you did the right thing. But Zach Reese is terrible. Julian Marquez is terrible. Let's be real here. Both of these guys are memes. Both of them are very underskilled. Under 1.5 makes the most sense for this, because they're sloppy. They're going to throw. I think Marquez is probably going to win, just because he's proven more durable. He's proven to be – he has that dog in him, you know what I mean? But and I think he's got a little bit more jiu-jitsu skill. I mean, Zach Reese just can't even wrestle, dude. I bet that Israeli guy actually to knock him out.
Wait.
And I was so fucking pissed with what happened because I think he easily could have just ground and pounded this guy out. Like, Zach Reese is not good. So maybe that changes this weekend, but I think under 1.5 is probably the best bet. And then just look to fish for live on Julian Marquez because Zach Reese probably has no conditioning.
Yeah, I think that's really true.
And we've seen Julian pull the rabbit out of the hat, round 3 versus Mackie Patolo. Pretty gross, but pretty awesome.
Coconut bombs, remember?
That one's going to give John Stargarian nightmares forever.
Poor John Stargarian.
He had Mackie Patolo, I remember.
Anything that gives John Stargarian nightmares tickles me.
He's
love you, John.
Nobody takes an L better than John. He's just like, fuck my life.
So good. All right. Well, if you guys haven't done the right thing already, don't worry. You have plenty of time. We've just finished the main card. Please throw a like on the show. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. All your support really means the world to us, and this is why we keep coming back and having a great time because we love the fights, we love our community, and like, there's nothing better than Wednesday nights breaking down these fights with you guys. So, having a great time, and make sure you guys listen. If you got something to drink, go ahead, drink it. I know Mr. Shonor is going to get a little something. If you got something to smoke, go ahead. Be like Des Files in the park with your old vape pen and do what you're doing. Should be a good time, but make sure you're doing the right thing.
Listen, TB, I appreciate that, but it's a huge card. You have cut off the main card opener.
Oh, I did.
You did.
Oh well. Oops.
This is the main card opener.
I guess it's just generally like a 5-5.
It's generally 5 because it's generally not 15 fights.
Well, there we go. Well, Guru strikes again. He was correct.
Of course I strike again.
Caramel Thunder, -192. Miguel Baeza. Punahele Soriano. Puna. UFC Stats was like, you've been so bad, we're not letting you go by Puna Soriano anymore. That has to be your official nickname on the website. They legitimately changed that since his last fight, I believe. It was not Punahele on the UFC Stats site. And here we are. It's the battle of the failed prospects and disappointment. So my biggest recommendation is, even though Miguel Baeza is probably the right play, you're probably just primed for disappointment if you're playing at -192. I feel like the fight doesn't go would be interesting, but the under 1.5 is at -115. So it's like, damn. It's really tough to figure that one out then. But ultimately, I feel like the way that this fight breaks down is that Puna just doesn't have like great volume, and his accuracy and defense are somehow even worse than Miguel Baeza's, and he's dropping a weight class like desperately here in the twilight of his UFC contract. So when push comes to shove, Miguel Baeza probably took the requisite amount of time off to make a few adjustments because, losing by knockout to Andre Fialho, that's going to make you reconsider a few things in life when it comes to being a UFC level fighter. It's just, he does have some like quality redemption moments. Like, I know getting rocked by Matt Brown and surviving to come back and get your own knockout victory, I mean, that is impressive in its own right. Takashi Sato, I mean, let's be real. Gunnar Nelson couldn't sub that guy, and Miguel Baeza actually comes away with a nice little one trying.
Stop. I don't want to hear about how Gunnar Nelson couldn't sub him. He tried one submission 19,000 times. He couldn't rear naked choke him.
Miguel Baeza hurt him on the feet.
Specific.
Miguel Baeza hurt him on the feet and finished him with an arm triangle.
It wasn't a rear naked choke. That's the only thing he can defend.
Nice. I'm pretty sure that's how Bilal Muhammad submitted him. But anyways, Miguel Baeza, the important thing that I'm talking about here, I feel like he's just got the more well-rounded, better output. And it comes down to, like, which guy do you not trust more? And I think the answer to that question is the guy that's dropping down a weight class and still giving up the height and reach advantage. So Miguel Baeza here, it probably is just a disappointing decision if we're going to be honest. So over 1.5, I feel like I'm kind of tempted to take it here because when push comes to shove, both these guys have just been disappointing. And Baeza, when it comes to finishing people, round two, and unanimous decision. Maybe it's Miguel Baeza round 2, or maybe we should be looking at like Miguel Baeza in over 4.5 minutes. Maybe that's a way to get the line to shorten up a bit. looking into those same game parlays. We'll let you know. What do you got, Guru? You got anything?
Yeah, I feel like it's just a little too late from Punahele Soriano. I saw from Media Day this week that he felt that he's a bit of a tweener. And it's like, yeah, dude, obviously. You're fighting Roman Kopylov, and Dalcha Lugambula, who's fucking huge. Like, they've continued to feed him absolute behemoths of individuals to try to say, hey, man, maybe you should be moving down. And it's too little too late. Again, like, they're like, okay, well, you finally moved down. Here you go. Miguel Baeza, somebody who's long and lanky for the division, has shown some power and, knocked out Matt Brown once upon a time, right? Was survived somehow against Matt Brown once upon a time, was looking decent, right? So, Santiago Ponzinibbio losing a decision, I don't discredit that. Even the knockout versus Chaos Williams. Chaos Williams is very good. I don't even discredit that. While that hurts his chin and his brain cells, the really bad one is the Andre Fajalio. It's inexcusable, really. And it brings up a ton of questions. But I still don't think Punahele Soriano is that guy. Andre Fajalio is bigger and more explosive than Punahele. He's a much better striker. So, yeah, I just think it's like maybe fight doesn't start round 3 type shit. Like, somebody falls on their sword. But at the same time, would I be terribly surprised if both guys are a little gun shy and they go the decision? Maybe. But honestly, I probably just a pass. I don't love Miguel Baeza at like minus 200. Like, that's not the territory I want to be in. So probably a pass, but yeah, I guess I lean that under with my fight doesn't start round 3, but don't love it. What do you think?
Yeah, we don't really know too much until they release props in all the markets. But I think if you can get like Soriano KO1 at like 8-1 or better, that's probably capturing a lot of his equity. But I don't think he's good. I mean, he's basically just a telegraphed right-hander and nothing else. So Baeza really should win this fight. He's just way more talented. The issue is, he took a lot of KOs. But he should be, honestly, if Baeza gets him on the mat, he should have a jiu-jitsu advantage too. I don't think Puna has good jiu-jitsu, and I think he uses a lot of strength when he's trying to get up. We saw that in the Maximov fight. So I favor Baeza, but no way I'm going to lay chalk, and I'll just wait for domestics to release some prices on some props. Probably fish for some like Baeza sub 2-3 and Puna like KO1, something like that.
Interesting. I like the angle, and I like the idea of keeping it light on this fight. I think that's a very good idea. Guru, any final?
I mean, Baeza. Sorry to cut you off.
You're good. You go.
Soriano is doing the classic. My UFC career is in trouble. He's moving down in weight, and then the next move is going to be to change camp if he loses this fight. So this is how these guys buy time: is they first move down weight and then they change camp. So he's in trouble.
I was just thinking that the thing with Puna, that I've just been waiting for his flower to blossom, is that it's exactly what There Will Be Blood is asking. He trains with Sean Strickland. I mean, he's been at Extreme Couture for a while. He's extremely close with Eric Nixick. I would be extremely shocked, honestly, to see him change camps. I would see him changing promotions before changing camps. But I've just been really waiting for that, for his star to shine. He's always seemed like TB said when he teed up the fight, like 2 failed prospects. Like, he seemed to always have the some of these guys' parts has not added up to a really good UFC fighter, and it's been unfortunate.
Yeah, I feel like if you're under the direct tutelage of Nixick, like it could work out depending on what your base talent level is. It's just I mean, there's certain guys that we've seen never really rise above the fray in the same token. So there are some people that have really used it as like a jumping board for their career because the cage fighting, the wrestling, like they've added another thing to their game where they already had a good base level. But I don't think they magically turn iffy fighters into great fighters. I don't think any gym does that realistically, but I do think that with Coach Nixick in your corner, depending on who you are as a fighter, if you're able to use the coaching that he gives you, that it could be great. But yeah, exactly. I mean, I get it. It happens to the best of them, right? So, I think there's also some regional competition there, if you know what I mean. I know where Brendan trains.
They're a glorified sparring room, in my opinion.
Yeah. That makes sense. Makes sense. A lot of good heads come in there, but it's a stopover when you're fighting at the Apex, right?
Yeah, I mean, like a lot of these Vegas gyms, you have to be very careful about because, like, a lot of the people that are fighting out of Vegas are fragmenting their training between many different camps and then using the PI. So it's like there's not a lot of structure. It's not like when you're in a local town and like everybody's kind of rooting for you and coming together. So it's a little bit of a different vibe, in my opinion.
Interesting. Hey, listen, it's all things to consider, right? And always appreciate learning some stuff from the good people here. Oh, man, he's going to hate this one. We got Thiago Red Sea Moises versus Ludovic Mr. Highlight Klein.
Boo.
What? No, it's Moses.
Moises.
Yeah, exactly. It's the Brazilian version of Moses.
No.
He's parting the Red Sea. I thought you were a tribesman with me, my friend. Come on, what the hell? You took us out of fucking Egypt. Come on, Thiago, Red Sea, Moses. So, and versus Mr. Highlight, he had a real nickname.
But he didn't take him out of the Red Sea. He took him out of the Dead Sea.
Bro, he parted the Red Sea. What are you talking about?
Whatever. Just go.
The Dead Sea is in. Wow, you need help with geography. Jeez.
Look at this godless man, Guru.
you need a lesson, young man.
Get this man to church.
I'm testing. Right. I'm obviously testing.
I'm going to go pull out my Torah and my Bible all at once.
You really should.
Yeah.
So, for this gambling show, yeah. Let's do it.
This is what the people came here for. So let's part the Red Sea and get down to it. It's plus 105 on Thiago Moises. It's minus 125 on Ludovic Klein, or according to like best fight odds, Rudovic, depending on the day. They always spell his name really funny. Now, what I saw kind of just breaking down like before watching tape is that, I mean, Klein just has a way better striking differential, way better accuracy. Their defense is similar. It's just like I feel like Moises' defense comes from not engaging. Like he wants to stay on the outside, barely be like at kicking range. And like if he's able to get in there and land something, great. But then he's scurrying away, like trying to keep the fight at his terms. Anytime we've seen anyone take the fight to Moises or damage him, like when has he ever turned it back around? Like Michael Johnson, that's the guy that chooses to lose to any guy that can make a little scramble happen. So great, he did it one time, but I don't trust Moises. Like if Ludovic Klein gets in here and he's landing some takedowns, he's the one landing the better kicks. If he's out here being the faster guy that lands with more accuracy, I don't see Moises being able to turn the tides. I think that Ludovic Klein has looked a lot better since moving up to 155, just one from a speed perspective, two from just looking like he's not, barely hanging on from a cardio perspective. Like I've seen him use his wrestling in 3 rounds at this weight class without, he didn't have to fight late landwear at 155. So I guess we still haven't really found out, right? But I don't think Thiago Moises is necessarily that cardio machine that's going to, really give it to him here. I mean, I guess I could see where, I don't know, Guru, like, I feel like I need to have a little bit on Klein at minus 125. I feel like it's a good play. But I don't know. Is there something in this fight you feel like I could be missing here in the breakdown? Like, what do you got?
I do. I feel like that, and I'm not sold on Thiago Moises here either because I don't trust his durability. But who is Ludwig Klein fought that's a grappler? Like, who has he fought that's a high-level BJJ practitioner? AJ Cunningham, Ignacio Bahamondes, Jai Herbert, Mason Jones, Devontae Smith, Nate Landwehr, Trezano, Young. What? These guys, he's brawling. These are brawlers. He's yet to fight somebody that actually, if they grapple him, what's that look like? If they get on his back, what's that look like? I have no idea. Problem with Moises is he doesn't really do any damage on the feet at all. Leg kicks to Mitch Ramirez, short notice, had to kick the shit out of him. That would be a good start. Kick the shit out of Ludwig Klein's legs, climb his back, choke him out. You know, it's just like, look at that fucking guy. I mean, Mr. Highlight. So I see why it's pick 'em. I really liked Klein at first when you had tipped it off, TV, but when somebody just has not faced even, this is like not one level of a grappler of a jump. This is like 4. Like it's just nowhere to be seen. So if Moises stays at range the whole time, he's gonna die. But he's an idiot, and it is what it is anyway.
Okay, so my question is then so he's faced 12 takedown attempts. He's given up 2 total takedowns. Takedown defense at 83%, but he's also not spent a ton of time being controlled from.
Exactly. So it's a giant fucking question mark.
Yeah. I hear you on that aspect.
Right, and he's a favorite, and he's shorter. And
he's got the reach advantage.
Yeah, and the power advantage and the speed. I think the speed is the biggest thing.
And I think he's the better wrestler.
For how long?
He's done it over 3 rounds as of 2 fights ago.
But what do you mean? He didn't wrestle for 15 minutes versus Ignacio Bahamondes. He wasn't scrambling. He wasn't defending chokes as much.
Yeah, he was actually.
No,
I mean he was though.
Okay.
I see him understand the principles of a 2-in or 2-out type of deal when Ignacio's trying to throw up triangles and arm bars and stuff, and seems like he's able to stack, keep him against the fence.
I think Moises. All right, well,
I think he's better than him. I'm not arguing with that.
I think that there's levels to it, and I think Ignacio Bahamondes is nowhere near the level of grappler that Moises is. But at least you're answering me in terms of somebody's level. So yeah, I guess you've seen it there, and that is fair. I would like to definitely need to hear what Sean's got to say. Sean, what do you got?
I mean, Jai Herbert took Klein down. I mean, that should be an absolute indictment on your grappling if Jai Herbert takes you down. So I don't know. I think price is probably about right. I'm not running to the window to bet Klein because I think that if I had to guess with Klein, I would say that he's a fish on bottom. I don't think we've seen it, but I'm pretty confident that Klein, if he's on the ground, so if Moises gets him on the ground, I think Moises is going to look minus 400. I think he's going to absolutely tool him on the ground. If he's going to get him there, remains to be seen. I mean, Thiago has a weird game, right? He likes to stay on the outside, low volume, occasionally goes for takedowns, but he's not really that great of a wrestler. But I'm not really sold on the whole Klein moved to 155, so he's a new man. I think Klein moved to 155 and fought a lot of bums. And he won a lot of those fights by wrestling them. And I'm not really thinking that he's going to be wrestling Moises. Why would he wrestle Moises? He's going to be in jiu-jitsu situations. He's going to be fighting leg locks. I don't like that for his game here. I think if anything, Klein should be trying to prevent any kind of grappling situations and using his stand-up because Klein's best asset in this fight is that he throws in combination, right? Whereas Moises throws 1 or 2 at a time. One thing about Klein, though, that I've been kind of just waiting a little bit, I don't think this is going to be the fight, but Klein is going to get knocked the fuck out in one of these fights because he leaves his head on the center line and he gets hit. Even AJ Cunningham was piecing him up, and Klein was using takedowns to break up the pressure because Klein is so rote and rudimentary with the way he strikes. He's very technical, but he needs everything to be very linear. He needs to be able to You'll notice, like, even when he throws his shots, you'll see him overcommit on his shots all the time, and he's like headbutting his opponents because he's like darting in and out and he's missing. So, but his head is right there, on the center line. I just don't think that Moises is going to be the one to knock him out, but I'll wait to see where this line moves. I do expect that a lot of people are going to bet Ludovic Klein. So if I can get like plus like 130 on Moises, I'll probably enter a play because I think if he gets a takedown, he's going to kill him.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
And I think a lot of what you said I do agree that a lot of what you said makes sense, and I also think that we could probably get a live entry on Moises that might be better too. I would think that Klein would probably win round 1, just based on maybe some cardio, but I think he could definitely slow down as it goes further ahead. I like Moises round 2 more I think about it. That's
I mean, we'll see. It's closely lined for a reason, right? I think there's a lot of question marks here with both guys. I will say it seems like a lot of guys I talk to like the Klein side. So I just don't see it. I don't know why you would want to pay 25 cents on this guy personally. Fighting nerd. Yeah. Yeah, he's probably tired of paying that ATT fee.
Yeah. Klein will be clean. We'll see. We will see. All right, here we go. We're moving on. We got Chuck Buffalo, Charles Radtke versus Carlos the Nightmare Prattes. All right, it's just me. I can do whatever the fuck I want now. This is fantastic. So Chuck Buffalo now. Chuck Buffalo here plus 190. Carlos Prattes at minus 230. And looking into this card for the week, I was like, well, Carlos Prattes, much cleaner striker. He's going to win this thing easy. Chuck, he's not even going to get the takedowns, whatever. It's not happening. And I happened to go on and throw a little Trevin Giles tape on. And let me tell you, I was very, if not slightly, I was extremely disappointed with what Mr. Prattes was doing in his debut here. Then I go ahead and I check out the Mitch Ramirez idea. I'm like, God damn, this guy's landing takedowns on Prattes. Now he gets reversed nearly immediately. But I'm like, wow, Prattes, one, he doesn't like calf kicks, but I'm not sure how much Chucky does that here. But he also doesn't like pressure and having a box in the pocket. He loves his range-finding weapons, the Muay Thai, the teep kicks, and the big 1-2s down the middle, the counter shots, pulling guys in and landing. I think Chuck is going to try to make it ugly here. I really, going into the week, I was like, oh, Bruno Ferreira, Carlos Prattes, call it a day. Let's have a good time. I'm not so sure I'm feeling so happy about that idea anymore. I think Chuck Buffalo at plus 190 is worth a little exploration. And listen, I could see a world where Mr. Buffalo's paying for his transgressions on the microphone his last couple fights. Maybe he ends up on the floor from a straight left. Yeah, listen, there's multiple definitions for a word. You know what I mean if you watch South Park. So just don't be the guy on the motorcycle. That's all we ask. But Chuck Buffalo here,
Harley specifically.
He's got a chance, right? I really think he does. And plus 190, I could see a world where Prattes is winning that round 1, round 2 knockout. But man, his volume leaves a lot to be desired. Man, his defense. And this is the guy that has 6 losses on his record, 3 by knockout, 3 by sub. Like what?
5 of them are in round 1.
Yeah, so Chucky, man, like there's fight doesn't go the distance does seem pretty safe. Right? I think there will be blood. Shout out to one of our faithful listeners. Prattes KO. Listen, I could totally see it. I think it's in the cards, but man, you won't find me laying chalk on that type of idea. So that I will not do. Guru, you got anything more confident on it?
No, not really. I just think I think a lot of what you said is true. I think Carlos Prattes needs to keep this fight at kickboxing range. You see in the Trevin Giles fight, that's really where he finally has success is when Trevin is finally not walking forward and he's just kind of standing there with him. And Carlos nails him with this beautiful sniper shot, and he just goes to sleep. Devastated. I mean, it was fantastic. We had the round 1, round 2 KO there. And again, it was looking like it wasn't going to hit. He knocks him out with, 57 seconds left in the second round. And that's maybe why we felt like, oh, yeah, he's going to knock out Chuck Buffalo. Chuck Buffalo's getting rocked by Blood Diamond. Chuck Buffalo's getting rocked by Raheem Forrest. Carlos Prattes for sure going to knock him out. And then I go back to the tape, and it's just like the way he walks people down, how dirty he can make it. He just looks like a more functional, more fully faceted MMA fighter, where Prattes is just this MMA, this Muay Thai base, kickboxing, wants to stand at range, pretty striking, looks nice, but like, again, he gets knocked out in the clinch bad. So I just don't really trust it. So yeah. What do you think there, Sean?
Yeah, I went into taping this one pretty confident that I was going to play Charles Radtke, but after tape, I think I'm going to kind of hang off of it. And I see the reason why a lot of people are going to bet Radtke. The line is obviously kind of crazy. And I think Radtke has some tools that could give Prattes issues, mainly his left hook, right? So this is going to be an open stance fight. So it's really going to be body kicks versus left hook for a lot of this fight. I rewatched the Trevin Giles fight, and I guess I had a little bit of a different opinion than a lot of people I talked to, including you guys. I actually rewatched it, and I thought it didn't look as bad for Prattes upon rewatch than my initial live watch of the fight. So it kind of reminded me of how I felt. Everybody kept saying that Alex Ferreira looked so bad against Yuri, so that's why they were betting Hill. And I rewatched that fight, and I didn't think he looked bad. I just thought he looked patient. And I thought that that's how Prattes looked in the Giles fight. He kind of knew, like, first of all, Giles kind of surprised him with the way he was fighting, because Giles usually isn't that aggressive. So I think it took Prattes off guard. But he started to really pick up the reads early in round 2, and then he figured out how to get him, and he got him. So I can't fault someone for picking up their reads and then finishing their opponent. I do think the price tag is a little bit nutty just because Prattes seems like kind of a negative decision fighter, right? Like the way he fights is suboptimal to win decisions. But on the Radtke side, the fight that really stands out to me is the Montalvo fight where he got hurt to the body. And I think that that's very live here. And I don't think that Radtke's going to have wrestling success here. I think that Prattes' takedown defense will be fine. I think Radtke's like wrestling upside is a little overrated. And I just think that Prattes is probably going to knock him out. So I'm going to stay away, and it could be that I'm biased against Radtke. I haven't really thought that this guy was good, even since the Blood Diamond fight. So I'm going to stay away, but I think Prattes is going to get it done.
This was the other point I think is interesting to note. All 3 of Charles Radtke's losses are at lightweight. We have not seen him get finished, and certainly like lose at welterweight here.
Who are these guys he's fighting though? Urbina is fragile, kind of like open season for hitting. Blood Diamond is like he's not even like he shouldn't even be in the UFC. Raheem Forrest, kind of know this guy is a quitter. So like a lot of his fights are against, in my opinion, dudes that don't really have that much dog in them. So I don't know. It seems like a lot of people like the Radtke side. Maybe it's correct, but I'm a little bit hesitant personally. It's one of those spots this week where I feel like it could be a trap, but maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, ultimately, I just think realistically, coming in with one expectation, you should never really like fully flip over. So if my original thought was, oh, Prattes is going to dominate, and then it's like, maybe I should be careful about how I'm approaching it. That doesn't mean you need to flip over to the plus 190 side and do anything about it. But yeah, I do get what you're saying too. I think Prattes was like very patient, all that. It's just I don't love the way how his defense looks in the pocket, and you can see him really get busted up there too. But Charles, I don't think necessarily has that layered of a striking game, and he has half the experience. Trevin Giles is like a legit UFC fighter that has been around the block at least. So
he's underrated. People shit on Giles all the time, but he's actually like a really, really good fighter. And I kind of agree with you, though. I don't think that Prattes' hands are very good, but this isn't as – I don't think that Radtke is anywhere near as much of a threat with the boxing as Giles is. I think Giles would shit on Radtke, personally. I think he would easily win that fight.
Probably. Thinking about it, probably. Unless – the classic Trevin Giles were to occur.
True. That's true.
There's always a chance, right? But yeah, ultimately, I guess my takeaway is that this isn't one of those fights where I had the most confidence, but I'm sure we're going to find a way to get into it as the week goes on. So, oh boy.
This fight.
Oh boy. Superman, Brad Katona, minus 625 versus Jesse the Butler. Jeffrey. So we got Brad Katona here. I think the guru froze. Otherwise, he'd be yelling at me by now.
Yeah, that's a good nickname, man. Come on. Where's your
good, right?
That's pretty good.
One of the favorite shows.
I just don't even get it, Jeff.
His last name is Butler, like Butler. Jeffrey from the Fresh Prince.
Come on, bro.
Fuck, bro. I thought that was one of your favorite shows.
It is my favorite. You didn't write his name correctly. Jeffrey spelled with a G in Fresh Prince. That's why I don't get it. I don't
Fair enough. I never watched it that closely to know as well as you.
I didn't even know that either.
I knew you were a gigantic.
So I don't understand the reference at all because it's not spelled correctly.
Oh, okay. So you're just gonna dunk on us for that.
And you also could have, and if you wanted to be Jeffrey, you would write Jeffrey the. Because you would have wrote Jesse Jeffrey the Butler, because then that would have been the joke. But you just can't do anything right ever.
Right. Fair
and enough. I wasn't frozen. I was just
you looked frozen in the moment.
You did look frozen.
I know.
Like Elsa. What I'm about to do to you if you keep disrespecting me.
What's your opinion on Katona, Guru? Is this a guy you'd like to hang out with, have a beer with, Brad Katona? How do you guys feel about this guy?
No, not really. He seems really fucking strange.
I fucking hate this guy.
He's
like,
really
he's
off-putting.
Like he's turning his neck the opposite way from the rest of his body. It's like this isn't like a high school graduation picture. Like what's happening? Yeah.
Vogue cover.
So yeah, I don't know. Superman, like, why are we? I get it. Like from this guy just got absolutely flatlined by Jim Miller perspective, but I don't get it from a lining a fight perspective. And I feel like on principle, you almost have to like take a $5 shot on.
No, you don't. No, you don't. On principle, I think you need to stay away from this fucking fight.
Fair enough.
$5. You like it,
Wait,
Sean?
so you're saying on principle you need to bet a fucking medium fry from McDonald's or whatever the hell it is on this guy?
Yeah, medium fry. That's so good. Damn it, you're probably right. I should just. This is the fight where I'm like, damn, I gotta go.
Honestly, I think you can get a milkshake from McDonald's for $5. So I would definitely rather you give me a milkshake than you bet on Jesse Butler.
Yeah, I'll take your action. I'll take your action, TV. If you want TV, I'll take your $5 action, and when I win, I'll drink the milkshake.
That's fucking hilarious.
My God, that's amazing. Do your milkshakes bring all the boys to the yard? Though that's the real question.
Why do you want to know? Is the real question.
Because the guru said he wanted me to bring him a milkshake, so now I'm scared. I might not show up at your house Saturday. No, I'm not showing up at your house Saturday now. I'm concerned for my well-being and what might happen to these tatas if I show up there. That's about all the breakdown I have for this fight. Can we just move on? Like, do we care that Brad Katona is probably just going to win it minus 625?
Do you guys
He's probably
think
not even going to finish him?
Do you guys? That's the only question, right? Is do you think this fight finishes, or do you think it goes the distance?
He's been knocked out before by a guy named Brandon Shavers, who was 0-0.
Oh my god!
I mean, that Jim Miller knockout was terrible. And it's funny because now he's been off a year, but he tried to come back after 2 months, remember? He was going to fight Sean Woodson, and everybody was like, well, wait a minute. Isn't this like the Jared Gordon situation? And then they just like pulled him. And then he was going to fight Jeka Seregi, who was going to knock his ass out. He pulled out due to injury. And I don't know what that injury was.
Because now he's here against Superman.
But he's been out. That was 7 months ago, and now he's here. So, it's a get right spot for Brad Katona, but that dude cannot finish a fucking sandwich. I don't know that he's finishing Jesse Butler. And we don't have a line to bet it. But if you give me somehow plus money or pick them that this fight goes the distance, I'm playing it.
Yeah, Brad Katona is really tough to watch. Honestly, like when I was watching his tape, I was like, Brad Katona, he is like the most mid of mid fighters that you could possibly ever create, because you can tell that Brad Katona puts a ton of effort into his career. He's always in shape. He's always working hard, but the guy he can't finish anybody. So the only way I see this fight finishing would be like an end submission, but the prices aren't really out yet. So I'm just going to kind of chill until the domestics open it, but it's probably going to go the distance, right? How much more money? It's almost like the bookies know that we're all desperate for a Brad Katona finish, because even his KO line is set at like plus 500, and it should honestly be like plus 1,000 at this point. He gets no finishes. What are these comments?
Yeah, actually, a very gigantic point here. Butler is, for the first time in his career, trying to make the cut down to 135. Like, I've went through all of his.
So bad too.
Yeah. Maybe it is under 2.5 at plus 190.
I don't know, man. Sure. You're just gonna you're gonna be screaming at your TV because Brad Katona is gonna be in half guard, literally hugging him and landing these short punches. Like, it's gonna be so infuriating. But yes, don't you think Brad Katona should be able to finish this guy? This guy's a bot.
He hurt Cody Gibson, right?
He's an NPC.
He really is. What is Martian MMA calls them role players? He's a fucking role player.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Probably about
12-5. Yeah, the funniest part of watching tape is I think it's Bisping's going, Jesse Butler, he's not bad, he's bad, he's pretty good, and there's death, and he's just fucking sleeping, standing up. It's
easiest money of Miller's career by far.
It's so funny. Oh no, I think he was saying he's not a guy to be taken lightly, and and then immediately is just asleep. So funny. Yeah.
All right, that's it. We're moving on. Another fantastic fight. We've got Andrea KKK Lee. I'm sorry,
the rematch that everybody's been clamoring for. Sorry, TB. You can try again with your little KKK joke, but this is the rematch. That everyone's been clamoring for.
I mean, just like everyone's been clamoring for a guru to talk about that this is the matchup they've been clamoring for.
Right. We had one last week with Nico Price and Alex Morono, and we get one again here. The rematch that everybody has been waiting for. There you go, TV. Break it down.
All right, so Andrea KKK Lee. I'm sorry, Andrea KGB Lee. My apologies. It's just when you hang out with Nazi sympathizers, I'm going to think the worst. Versus Hannah Montana de la Rosa. Which rig does she come out with this time? Is it her wrestling shoes, wrestling wig? Is she gonna, go for that, or is she just gonna stand at range and try to bang with Andrea Lee? I don't know if we're getting Hannah Montana or Miley Cyrus this fight. But Andrea KKK Lee, I'm sorry, Andrea KGB Lee. She's probably just gonna come out and be the cleaner striker.
Come out and bang.
Yeah, she's gonna come out and throw up some banging gang signs.
Jesus.
You know, all
Do
power.
Nazis have gang signs?
Yeah, I don't know. Heil Hitler, that's their gang sign.
That's true.
You got to ask MMA Giga Chad that one.
Yeah, Jesus
Wow.
Christ. I don't know if we'll have MMA Giga Chad on the show. I don't know how this is going.
I'm going to be honest. I almost just left the show when you were promoting his thing. I was like,
Oh, no.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Oh, fair. I was going to say, I was like, oh, no.
Me and him are friends. We're friends.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I was like, oh no, it's just I mean, we're a couple of tribesmen out here.
here.
You never know; it could be dangerous out here in these streets. But yeah, so ultimately, I mean, Andrea Lee, like as much as I want to hate, when you go through her recent run of competition, I mean, there's a reason why I've been picking against her. It's Random Maverick and Bueno Silva or Macy Barber, Araujo. Like these are all really tough fights, and even a couple of the wins that she's getting, it's like, all right, she did an okay job, but Montana De La Rosa, I don't have those feelings about. Like when I look over her record, it's like, damn, like I really think that she can't really land damage, and she doesn't really have IQ from a game plan perspective. So
she proved that versus JJ Aldridge.
Yeah, I get it, and maybe sometimes it's just like take the women's underdog. It's a rematch; things can go differently. You know, Andrea, she's been a
talk about
disappointment.
game planning. You want to talk about game planning? What's your game plan when you marry Mark De La Rosa? Like
they had a baby. That's why.
Yeah, that's not a good. You know what I mean? I don't really trust your game planning there. So, Andrea Lee, if you watch that first fight. I mean, she beat the piss out of her. Like, I'm not sure why Montana takes this fight. I mean, I guess she just, needs money. Like, she's not going to win this fight. When she got the takedowns, Andrea Lee was able to get back up. I absolutely think that if Andrea Lee gets taken down or when she gets taken down, she will get back up. And she could also take Montana De La Rosa down. And I don't necessarily see her getting up. And I don't necessarily see her submitting her. So I think Andrea Lee finally gets off the schneid and gets her win. It's actually hilarious. It's a battle of who can fucking win first. I hope it's like a fucking draw or no contest, and nobody wins. But I think Andrea Lee wins. I bet her. What do we bet her at, TV?
Minus 125, minus 135.
Well, I think there's a big difference there, but we got a decent number, and
we got what it's at now. But I mean, could just be another one of those ones where you beat line movement and you lose.
Oh, minus 125. It was only a unit though. We'll live.
Yeah, exactly. And like I feel like I said, I mean, there's going to be some spots on this card where there might not be the most confidence, but the lines are close enough where you can fire away, not risk too much, and hopefully at the end of the night you're looking at a little bit of money coming back your way. So just trying to find out exactly where I'm ending up on all these, but like at the same time, this is a fight that's almost definitely going to a decision, and it's almost definitely guaranteed to disappoint you. And like as much as one of them, like, oh yeah, blah 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 is going to win, like, well, the fans probably lose. Sean, or what do you got here?
Yeah, I mean, you guys have covered it. It's look at this card. Is that a card or is that your phone or what am I looking at here?
Conor McGregor just posted this a couple minutes ago.
You like at the doctor?
Him chilling at the doctor's office. It looks like hip joints over there on the counter.
Christ, this guy.
Hilarious.
Connor. Yeah, so I follow Montana De La Rosa on Instagram because she's a babe. And
yes.
I've been
underrated.
Peeping the stories all the time. And I will tell you, it seems like this girl does zero training unless she's training for a training camp. So it's usually just her hanging out with the girls, hanging out with the family, having drinks, trying to sell you some bullshit. She's one of these like Instagram sell you some bullshit type of hot girls. So yeah, if you see, like, it was like 7 weeks ago, 8 weeks ago, she posted up a video of her like doing some strength and conditioning. And it was like when her training camp was starting, and she's got this fat ass fucking like medical wrap over her right leg. And she just looks kind of skinny and out of shape. And I think this girl is just getting into shape for fights and taking them. Mark opened a gym. Maybe they need some money because I don't see really too many people at the gym. So maybe they need a little bit of a cash stimulus here. And meanwhile, everybody is just saying, oh, Andrew Lee, she looks washed. She looks flat. Yeah, they said that shit about Nico Price last week. And, also Andrea Lee, she's if you've been following her Instagram and stuff, she was actually helping Tisha Torres for her camp. So she's been training, she's been moving around, staying active, staying busy, fighting high level competition. I think that Lee is going to win this fight. And I think that Montana De La Rosa, she had her chance to ascend in the rankings, but she just fucking failed. And then she's kind of gotten lazy. And I think Andrea is a really sharp bet at minus 125. I didn't bet it because every chat I'm in, there's people that love De La Rosa. So I thought the line was going to move the other way, but it didn't. So now I'm kind of fucked. I don't know if I would lay 55 cents on Lee just because she fights to splits decisions all the time. It's definitely going to go over unless you go with Pepe's sub bet. But Pepe's a fucking madman, so how do you see her subbing her, Pepe? Leave a comment. How do you see that?
Yeah, right?
Yeah, I mean, come on, man. He said it's a donation, but like, why, man? Why?
Donate to me. I could use a donation.
Hit me up on Telegram with your breakdown there, Pepe.
Guru wants a milkshake, if anything. So.
I'm a slut for milkshakes. It is true.
All right, this is the moment I've been waiting for tonight because I was trying to explain things over text message to my friend the Guru here. And like this might just end up being like stupid and the people might not want to hear it, but like triangle from bottom. All right, well, he gave us how, I don't know, maybe. I don't think she had. She could have done.
That makes sense. I like it. That's the way to do it because Angela is fucking stupid and she'd be on top and she's bruised and she's a little bloody and tired and oh no, I'm stuck and yeah, that's it.
Fair enough. All right, so the Sexy Mexi, John Castañeda, Daniel Soncora Marcos. It's a pretty solid matchup here. I mean, Sexy Mexi's going to have a couple inch reach advantage. He's giving up an inch of height. It's a minus 102 to minus 118. Over 2.5 at minus 245. I mean, we're pretty much guaranteed to be looking at a pretty close split decision. A pretty close decision, I should say, is based on how, like, DraftKings is lining the fight here. Now, what I take away from a tape perspective is Marcos is definitely, like, a solid striker. He likes using his kicks. He's got, like, decent boxing, but I feel like he doesn't commit to it as much as he likes to be landing like the guy on the back foot and having the fight go on his terms here. And Castañeda, I mean, I feel like we've seen a few times where if you can land on him with some power, you can definitely change the fight. But if not, and you're really just expecting to win on volume, yeah, he could be a little bit hittable. But at the same time, I feel like he's added a bit of depth to his game from an offensive wrestling standpoint. And I think he's got a pretty well-varied striking approach as well. So Castañeda here, the thing I was trying to describe to Guru is like, if we expect any of this fight to take place in a control position, my argument here is that the control rate of the clinch / ground time, so like of the total amount of time that the fight spends in a control position, if you were to say like, so we're seeing Sexy Mexi, he's basically spending, X amount of time at distance, right? So if you're to take that away and you're to say like the rest of the time, whatever he's spending at distance, how often is he controlling it and how often is his opponent controlling it? So it's kind of a rating of like their grappling and control ability. So my point here is that in that rating, Castañeda is controlling his opponents at 74% of total control time in his fights. So his opponent is controlling him at 26%, and he's landing a 74% control. Whereas Marcos, in the time that their fights are in a control period, he's being controlled for 64% of that, and he's only controlling 36%. I think that a lot of this fight is going to end up with Castañeda getting into a clinch or a takedown position. That's kind of my takeaway here is that, and if this does end up not just playing out as a striking fight from distance, I expect the grappling of Castañeda and his improved and used wrestling at this point to give him one of those square advantages in the matchup where it could be very close otherwise. And I think Marcos might have the better calf kicks, but I think Castañeda probably has the better kicks elsewhere. And I think that he's probably the better boxer. And I've seen him weather the storm and, you know, for better or worse, you know, he's lost before, everything. Like Marcos, he's coming from a regional scene that I don't necessarily trust as much. And I mean, he was doing the damn thing against Simon Oliveira, but I mean, that guy's not good. He's a guillotine merchant and a spinning kick artist. Then Davey Grant, I mean, he flat out just doesn't really win that fight. Or at least it's super, super close. I think Castañeda is a better fighter that has better IQ than Davey Grant at this stage. I think so. So there are plenty of ways I could be wrong. The fight is lined at -102 for a reason, but I'm going to take the side of Sexy Mexi here. I'm going to have a little to win 1 unit type of play out.
I think the best part of the handicap here is that it's a very close fight on the feet. And that John Castañeda has landed 9 takedowns in his UFC career, but he's landed 3 in each of his last 3 fights. So if you're telling me that this is a fairly even fight on the feet against a guy in Marcos who we've just kind of seen as a little bit low volume, and kind of maybe a bit of a calf kick merchant at times, if Castañeda is going to add a wrestling wrinkle, it could be very interesting. That being said, we've seen a lot of the times you get a little baby takedown and you don't do anything with it. Not only do they not score it, they it's almost used as a negative. Oh, well, you didn't do damage at that exact second, so that's a minus, even though you're clearly in a position of control. So I don't know what the over is -245. Yeah, I loved fight going the distance here. I think fight going the distance is like a fucking guarantee. So that's the parlay piece of all parlay pieces. I might just parlay this fight going the distance to Bruno Ferreira as the 2 safest spots on the week. It's like $1 million play, and ride off into the sunset.
Yes, Nick, I agree. That's part of the handicapping here. It's a step up in the type of competition he's got to face from a takedown perspective. That's it.
Yeah, exactly.
You can see it too.
Yeah, I don't love either side in this fight. And again, how do you trust Castañeda to in a close striking fight where I'm asking you to start grappling? Okay, dude, don't run out of gas like you did versus Daniel Santos and die, because that would be a shame.
I mean, let's also be fair. I don't think he really started running out of gas until, Daniel Santos is a crazy striker and he's got real power. And he hurt Castañeda.
Marcos, I know you don't like Marcos, and we're not super impressed, I guess, but the dude is an undefeated guy with 8 knockouts and 7 decisions. So he's shown at least some level of cardio and some level of power.
That Daniel Santos is the way more dangerous and more powerful striker.
So nice to be in a chair.
Nice.
So
all right.
Nice to be in a chair.
Nice.
Wow.
Happy for you filling out the new place. And you're not being harassed as much this episode by the cast, for what it's worth.
The door is closed.
Nice. He's doing big things over here.
They're screaming at me.
Sean, what do you got going on?
Yeah, so first thing I'm doing is I'm resetting my password on my American Express account.
Oh, God. Damn, he caught me. Shit.
Little bit of a security issue here on the show. Everything is fine, guys. But so this fight is open stance, right? So Castañeda is a southpaw, Marcos is orthodox, and Marcos, you guys had already talked about this. He he's a calf kick guy. He's a jab guy. He likes to throw these knees when you crash in. And the sexy Mexi really thrives on fighting against guys like this. He's a really good southpaw boxer fighting these guys because he knows his entry points. He knows how to get inside and to land his shots. So I actually think that there's a good chance that sexy Mexi looks like a favorite just in the striking. But then you add the grappling component, and it's pretty obvious, right? Sexy Mexi is going to be the better wrestler. And Marcos, he's one of these Peruvian guys from a weird regional scene like you had mentioned. And we just don't really know, what he's going to look like if he's getting wrestled a whole lot. I have my suspicions that it's going to look bad because he's gotten tired in fights. So I think if there's one thing that's guaranteed in this fight, it's that Castañeda is going to win round 3, right? So he's probably going to be the one with the better motor, winning as the fight goes down the stretch. So yeah, I bet Castañeda. I think Castañeda should be probably closer to like -130, -140, generously. But I think that his path, his upside here is tremendous, right? I hate betting against undefeated guys, but I don't view Marcos as a real prospect personally.
Yeah, shout out to Mushroom for helping us hack into Sean's account on the channel. Hopefully we got enough funds out of there before he could stop us.
Wait a second, Mushroom. Mushroom, you're saying that escorts, they have like credit card machines with them? What is that?
They have one of those credit card things you plug into your phone and swipe. and don't look behind you, Sean. We have somebody breaking in through the window to steal your piano.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Sorry, baby. I don't know who's fucking Giselle is. Just charge my card a fucking 1,000 times.
Yeah, right.
Oh, Christ.
No, it's all Grubhub for me, Mushroom. You know me. I got my McDonald's coming here every day.
Let's go. McFlurry's.
Do you? Are you a big McDonald's guy?
I mean, that's what I'm known for on MMA Twitter is McFlurry.
I didn't realize that. That's fucking hilarious.
I mean, I did like one Spaces one time where I got a McFlurry. I like crashed one of Giga Chad's and I was ordering it on the fucking like live. And they're all like, "Oh, you're such a fat ass," all this shit. So now everybody talks about that. So, but McFlurries are good, man.
McFlurries are fantastic.
The game is changing out there, man.
They have square. You know what's funny is I believe you, Mushroom. Like if there's anybody who knows like escort, it's probably you, bro. So I'll take
that. Only the high class ones for Mushroom. Shout out to all you amazing people in the chat. As you can see, we have an absolutely incredible time. So if you haven't already thrown a like on the show, that's pretty fucked up. But there's one way you can fix it real quick, and it costs you nothing. Throw a like. Have a good time with us. So subscribe if you haven't already too. Here we go. We got Eduarda Ronda Mora. Talk about lazy nicknames. This isn't even TB. She just likes takedowns and she's a woman, so she uses Ronda.
No, she likes the Beach Boys.
And then
help me, Ronda. Help me, Ronda.
Nice.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that was definitely it. Versus Denise.
Beach Boys head, Eduarda Mora.
Yeah, gigantic. Almost as big as what her head has transformed to from all the supplements she's probably taking. Denise D. Gomes, another absolutely lazy nickname. You would think that I made these nicknames up, but I didn't, believe it or not. So
they always make sense.
Now it's my turn to freeze like Elsa. That's not cool. Eduarda Mora out here. Ultimately, for someone in D. Gomes that when she's losing, it's getting taken down in volume by the likes of Loma Lukbunmi and Angela Hill, I think Eduarda Mora's probably got the path to victory that she wants. And -166, I feel like, damn, I mean, these guys have bet this down to some value at this point. I mean, this could be a potential gift from the gods. If we get to -140 or lower, I don't know. But at the same time, we got to, maybe limit how much we're putting out here on lower level women's MMA fights. But at the same time, it's like, well, we can say, lower level. I don't know. They're both pretty good finishers in their own right. And Eduarda's a high level grappler, it seems. And Denise is a really dangerous one punch knockout type of striker at strawweight. that doesn't happen so often. So got to give a little credit where credit's due from a finishing perspective for both of these women's MMA fighters. That's not the typical. So at under 2.5,
No.
I don't know. Could
no,
there be a
this is,
finish one way or the other?
see, this is, no, you're getting too crazy. I honestly think that, no, I don't know. I honestly
Mora
think
by
that
decision is what you think.
I just think you go over then too. I think it could get
I like
dicey
Mora.
because they could get, I do too, but it's hard to trust her when she's got all these round 1 and round 2 finishes. It's hard to know that she's got the cardio to continue to bust it out. So
They've each won decisions before as well. So
right, but like very few. And and Denise Gomes' most recent decision win is against who? Ryan Amanda, who we'll talk about in a few minutes, and there's not much good to say. So it's really tough, really low level. Yeah, I think if this is the truth, right? If Mora can get the takedown she wants and can continue to get the takedown she wants, she'll be just fine. Top control, takedowns, she will be fine. The problem will be is if she wants to get a takedown and cannot, because then she will be exhausted. And if she's exhausted, she's going to die. And that's it. So I think if you're talking Lambo Plays show, shout out to Narco Cop. I think you're taking like Denise Gomes round 3 knockout type vibe. If you're thinking Mora is going to gas out, you've seen Denise Gomes get late round knockouts. Otherwise, yeah, I don't know. I think I like Mora to get the sub earlier on if she's having success with the grappling, or just maybe show us that she's got the 15-minute cardio. But I do like Mora here at -166. I'm not interested in a dog shot, which is weird because women's MMA, feel like sometimes you're better going with the dog. Sean, are we crazy? Mora?
I taped this fight actually more than I care to admit, and
I love that. I love that. Give me that, and then I want all the dirty details. Then let's go.
Well, I mean, I kind of agree with you. I think that it's like more a decision, or I actually think it's Denise ITD. So I think Mora's game is going to collapse pretty hard if she can't get the takedowns, if she can't grapple, because she has no feel for the striking. If you watch her strike, she has nothing. So, but her jiu-jitsu game, the type of jiu-jitsu that she plays, goes a long way in MMA. She's really good at controlling the hips. Kind of drives me nuts watching some of these fighters because they don't understand hip position. So if you watch Mora on top, it looks like, she's dominating these really low-level opponents, but you really need to watch the way she's doing it. She's really good at like flowing to the hip that has no leverage and punishing her opponents and getting them tired that way. And we know that Denise Gomes isn't a very good grappler, isn't a very good wrestler. So it's not terribly shocking to imagine, or, you can imagine pretty easily that Mora can have some grappling success here. So I think that Mora can win a decision or Gomes ITD. That's kind of the way I view the fight.
Nice.
I agree completely.
Here we are. We got Cody, the Spartan Stamann. Yeah. Taylor, double impact Lapilus. Absolutely gigantic reach advantage from the Taylor Lapilus side of things. I mean, he's got like solid anthropomorphic advantages over most people he fights, and then you fight the T-Rex arms, alligator arms of Cody Stamann, and you put those two together, you just got an electric reach differential. It's just, does Taylor actually know how to use it? I'm a little concerned. I feel like Cody, he's someone that kind of went a bit too far away from his roots as of recently. And like, I get it when you face against Merab Dvalishvili and you're getting absolutely, manhandled from like, I've always been like so good in this department. I know Aljo like out grappled him or whatever, but he out landed on takedowns on Aljo when they fought. He ends up getting in a bad position. And yeah, it's a little banana split Suliev, whatever happening. And yeah, things didn't go the way that they should have. But for Cody Stamann, I feel like the Merab fight is really where he stopped using his offensive wrestling consistently. Then you go to see him use it versus Said Nurmagomedov and go for a fast, quick takedown. And it's like, fuck, ninja choke right away. It's like 40 seconds. So I'm hoping, if Taylor Lapilus doesn't have like that, the ninja choke setup, I'm hoping Cody Stamann's not an idiot here because I think his boxing inside the pocket is probably better than Taylor's. And I think the level of competition he's faced is definitely better than Taylor's. It's just from a consistency perspective and like trusting him to do the right thing. It's a little bit tough here. And I feel like this could just end up being disappointment and the fight goes the distance and Taylor Lapilus wins a 29-28 or a 30-27. You're like, damn, that was really boring. And I wish that didn't happen. But I think Stamann has a chance to get some wrestling going. It's really hard to hold down Taylor. So if anybody, Cody's absolutely like gigantic. He cuts so much weight. So I don't know. He's not got the best like finishing grappling, but he's a solid control guy when he can get there. And then, his striking really, it's not that bad. Like he's got better distance accuracy. He's got the same defense as Taylor. It's just, you look at the reach, you look at like the athleticism. There's definitely a differential in age, but I don't know. Something tells me Cody could do it, but
I'm so nervous about it,
prone
man.
for disappointment.
The real problem is his style doesn't translate well anymore.
Yeah.
He has zero fucking power.
Yeah.
I mean, he has nothing to offer on the feet. He's not a submission guy. Is he even doing damage when he's in control positions? Probably not. So like as much as I kind of want to take that shot on him, and as much as I want to give him the benefit of the doubt, okay, taking down and grappling muscle hamster Douglas Silva de Andrade, difficult decision, difficult thing to do. Grappling with multi-level BJJ black belt Luan Lacerda, that's a tough decision. Don't necessarily want to do that. Knocked out Eddie Weiland in 2 seconds, nothing to do there. Okay, getting choked out in 1 second by Said Nurmagomedov. Thought you were going to grapple there. That was the game plan. Put your head in a tough spot. Ninja choke. Okay. Marab, best grappler in the division, possibly the best fighter in the division. Jimmy Rivera, power puncher with great wrestling. Like, he just really hasn't had the opportunity. So I really want to give him the chance, but Lapilus fights to his feet fairly well. I don't know. Beat our boy Nate Maness in round 3. That's crazy with a sidekick. Nate is tough as nails to put him down. Ugh. I don't like it. It's fight going the distance, obviously. Like obvious fight goes the distance. But
and it's priced as such.
yeah. Of course. So I want to take the dog shot, but I've said that all night long, and I'm not sure I can get there on Cody because, like I said, I just don't know that his style translates well anymore. What do you think, Sean?
Yeah, I mean, tough fight. I did bet Cody at plus 230.
Okay.
Just because the number is off, right?
Yeah, so that's how we feel.
I see everything that you guys are seeing. I feel like Cody, like you said, his style isn't really translating anymore in today's MMA. If you look at Cody just overall, I'll just give the bear case with for Cody. So he hasn't shot many takedowns in like the last few years. You could argue he didn't need takedowns in those fights. He's never fought a southpaw in the UFC, which is not great. He seems to kind of wait back and look for big shots, but he doesn't have the power that you would think he should. He's going to need to wrestle in this fight. Now, the bear case on Lapilus is that he's incredibly overrated. Minus 270? Are you fucking kidding me? When has this guy ever looked minus 270? It's just, even the Nate Maness fight. Yeah, do you reline that minus 270? Are you kidding me? I mean, it's a competitive fight. Like, Nate was doing fine. So, yeah, I think that Cody is a must bet, and he's probably going to be Lapilus is going to be a minus EV winner. He's probably going to win like 29-28 split or 29-28 unanimous. But you can't look at this number and think it's right. It's just not possible.
That was my tweet. I literally tweeted. I think it was today. I said, "What has Taylor Lapilus ever done to be deserving of a near minus 300.
Your tweet is correct. He's never done anything to look this price tag ever.
Got three bookmarks. Who would bookmark?
3 bookmarks. See, that's what people do. They add the bookmark because then they're going to come back to you if you're wrong. And they're
You know what's
go,
fucked up though? Last week, I give a fucking 8-leg 10-1 parlay, fucking 60 likes, 22 bookmarks. The shit hits. Does anybody say anything? No.
No, they're only going to say it if you lose, like the scum you are.
Exactly.
Well, I can agree with that part at least.
I know that I'm scum, but like I'm giving out 3 leggers.
That's all of his burners. TV's burner.
Right.
I'm coming back for you, bitch. This is for all the new game.
Whenever I make a strong take tweet, I don't tweet as much as I used to, but whenever I do, I swear to God, it's just full of bookmarks. People just ready. They're ready.
Bunch of pussies. All right, moving on. Here we go. We made it. It's been an absolutely incredible time, but it's at this time I must present to you Rayani Amanda dos Santos. Good luck figuring out which one she's actually going to be called in the octagon on Saturday versus Puja the Cyclone Tomar. And oh man, like going into the tape on this fight, I expected the absolute worst. And let me tell you, Puja Tomar is actually one of the most exciting WMMA fighters I've ever watched, like the regional tape on. Like, even if she's losing, she's having a great time out there. I mean, Scramble City, 10 different submission attempts per round, per fight she's losing by submission. It's a great time, at least. Like, I actually had fun doing the regional tape on Puja Tomar. And her striking is actually pretty high level. I was really impressed. Southpaw, kicks at all 3 levels. That wushu sanda. She's actually got a little bit of game in that regard. Now, however, she's got a negative grappling IQ, and it's like she will just repeatedly put herself in bad positions over and over. And it's like, well, how could Rayani Amanda possibly be minus 300? It's like, well, she's got a black belt. That's already that's a great start, you know. And Rayani, like, I don't think she's necessarily got like a chin problem per se, but I mean, I don't think she's like the smartest defensive striker. These girls are both going to come out throwing absolute heat on the feet. And if it ends up on the mat, because I've seen Puja go for throws before against, like, she catches a kick and tries to land on top of Stam Fairtex. Like, how'd you think that was going to go for you, Puja? You're so much smaller in that fight. And you thought it was a good idea. Like, she could totally try taking down Rayani dos Santos here. But listen, if this fight does take place from distance, then yeah, sure. Like, the plus 240 is probably like egregious and deserves a thought. But man, I think my McFlurry money deserves to go elsewhere, as Sean Nor would recommend. So maybe I'll put it together. Yeah, McFlurry money. Dig into grandma's couch, and maybe you can play a little something on Rayani Amanda by submission. I think that's the only playable prop idea in this fight. Just given the tendencies of Puja to like just end up there and not like, I think Amanda, when she gets it on the mat, you know, we've seen that her tendency is this going to end by sub. Now she's definitely hurt people on the feet. She's got a knockout here or there, but 8 subs to 2 knockouts. Whereas Puja, like, I mean, she's actually got the power to like really hurt you on the feet. So I do not recommend a Rayani parlay, but
Yes,
I would say fight doesn't go the distance.
Recommend that parlay, you bitch.
Fight doesn't go the distance, under 2.5. Like, every single fight that Puja Tomar has lost has been inside the distance, and 6 out of her 8 wins have come inside the distance as well. And Rayani Amanda, she also has 1 knockout loss and 1 submission loss. So I know she's been to the decision the 5 other times, but fight doesn't go. Let's get a little money. They're going to be violent. There's a reason they're having them open the card in front of a live crowd in Louisville. Like, these chicks are coming out. Coming out. They're somewhat decent looking, and they're coming out to brawl.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Unlike the Mora fight, where I was like, oh, like, you know, WMA, got to take the dog, can't do it here. Like, this is the fight where it's like, you dog or pass. Like, you're not taking Rayani dos Santos at minus 300. I don't see it. She doesn't really wrestle to some high degree. She obviously was robbed versus Alencar. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, I don't trust it at all.
Sounds like a fancy
So,
type of sidecar, an Allen car.
Alencar. You know what? That is funny. She's got all those women's by armbar. I think BetMGM is the book that I know of that offers the specific submission prop. I would absolutely go check there on Saturday and see if we can get that armbar.
She's also got a loss by triangle.
There you go. So yeah, I don't know. I hate it. I hate it so very much. Yeah, probably take the under as our little gotta have something on the opening fight of the night. Gotta have the little McFlurry money on that. Little grandma's couch cushion. So yeah, I think so. Probably.
I'm not one of those, but I
we have no discipline.
Yeah,
That's the difference.
I hate losing money, so I try to avoid it. But I don't know. You guys basically said what it is, right? It's like Reyes dos Santos is just minus 300. You for real? I didn't do too much research on this because I think that people have probably bought yachts fading India MMA. They'd produce nothing but terrible fighters. They're like the new China, you know. They're like worse than China at MMA. But yeah, I will tell you this. I did a lot of taping of Ryan for multiple fights, and I'm a little sus about this black belt personally. He's one of these like from Brazil where it's like, yeah, I was like high school state champ jiu-jitsu type. Like who's that girl that Ferreira dates now?
Oliviana. I don't think they're dating anymore based on my instant capping, by the way. But anyways,
she's another one where her like jiu-jitsu accolades are like similar, where it's like, oh yeah, high school state champ jiu-jitsu, or like crap like that, where it's like totally worthless in my opinion. Right. And I watched the way that Ryan grapples, and I'm personally not impressed. So
yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
Is this really like a high-level jiu-jitsu girl, or is it someone who got the accolades? She's pretty good, you know, she's decent enough.
Pretty good. This is the thing. This is where it makes no sense. All right, you ready for this? It's too many people. I'll go through it really fast. But are you ready for these records? This is who she's fought started from the beginning of her career. Ready?
They're all bums.
1-0, 1-7, 3-0, 5-3, 0-0, 6-3, 2-2, 4-1, 8-7, 8-4, 0-0, 3-1, 0-1, 0-6, 0-0, 0-0, 5-1 Denise Gomes, 1-2, 5-5, 6-3, 4-0, and that was up to right now. Like she's fought nobody, so she's fighting another nobody. It makes sense why they make the fight, but it doesn't make sense why she's minus 300.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to do a little. Your passion is making me want to do a little bit of research on this because there's no shot in hell I would ever lay, $3 on Reyes dos Santos.
3 McFlurries.
I mean, come on.
We're judging everything in McFlurries from now on.
You're paying $3 to win $1 on this girl. Are you fucking kidding me? Like that's crazy to me.
I would never sacrifice 3 McFlurries to win 1 McFlurry. When you say $3,
you're not winning 1 McFlurry.
I feel like you're doing this wrong, Drew. I feel like you're not getting the equivalent pricing correct. I feel like you have to
just
stop.
I just think I value ice cream more than money, which is fucking wrong.
That actually that's how I used. So I played a ton of poker in high school, and when I was in high school, you eat a ton of fast food, right? And I used to actually calculate my winnings in terms of Chipotle burritos. No joke. Yeah. I used to be like, okay, I won like 50 burritos today. And I would get so happy.
That's hilarious.
What is this? Mushroom? What do you say?
Oh God.
Oh, they're still talking about freaking escorts in the chat. Your chat's gonna get flagged by the FBI.
Yeah. We're definitely we're gonna get under siege here. So if we don't see you guys next week, you know what happened.
Definitely check that tape for us though, Sean, because TB said it was exciting to watch. So
I'm excited.
I've
I
done
thought-
much worse scouting women's MMA from like
That's
a
fair.
entertainment perspective. I mean, Josephine Knudsen fought not too long ago. Like, let's be serious about it.
Montserrat Rendon.
Yeah.
Brutal.
I mean, there are some other things to scout in that fight, though. You know?
Jesus Christ! And on that note,
The chest
So-
pressure she has is just absolutely unmatched in her realm.
thank you for joining us here.
That's what the TB stands for, titties and booty scouting.
Yeah, titties and
TV
boobies.
scouting love handles, scouting MMA.
Hilarious.
Yeah, we're here for a good time, not a long time. That's for sure. Well, I guess a long
He's
time.
never here for a long time, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Oh,
How do you know?
Anyway, I was disappointed. Let's just say,
Bad reviews.
yes, very much so. One
Don't,
star.
don't,
on
hi-
Yelp.
don't hire this man, Mushroom. Bad review.
He doesn't have square either. He only takes McFlurries.
yeah. All you got to do is link up to my McDonald's app, and then I'll get the rewards. We're just trying to get a free one every once in a while. If you don't have your own account, just go through mine.
Dang, dude, you need to hit up my new girl I've been seeing. She's this fat ass who eats McFlurries and can suck a mean one.
Oh my god, that's hilarious.
Well, I would like to thank Sean Orr for fully buying into the Chronic Combat experience. It wouldn't have been the same without that. And I hope you guys in the chat have had just as much fun as me every Wednesday. Honestly, no matter what's going on, good or bad, the only thing that I'm having an amazing time with is you guys here on the show. And like, I wouldn't change a thing. So keep on tuning in, keep doing the thing. And like, before we pass it off to Guru to close it out, Sean, you got anything for the people here that you want to leave them with?
I mean, just follow me on Twitter. That's where you can find me. If you have a question, you can shoot me a DM, I suppose, but I'm pretty fucking bad with it. We usually do spaces, so I'll do some spaces every so often on Saturdays. But you guys know the drill with me. I don't really do stuff like this because I don't tape all the fights. So I see what I see, and I bet it. So if you ask me, I'll tell you the 1 or 3 bets I have, and that's how I do this. So just let me know.
Hell yeah. Appreciate you, man.
Yeah, seriously, Sean, you fit right in, man. Anytime you want to come back, we'd love to have you. So we'll definitely be looking for you again. Guys, thank you so much for joining us here in the chat. Another wonderful UFC fight card on the horizon. Can't wait to make some damn money. Please, if you're not already following my incredible co-host, he's not incredible at coming up with nicknames, but he is incredible at being a co-host. So make sure you're following him, TB Scouting or MMA, over on Twitter, Verdict, Instagram, Picket, Tapology, and Bet MMA. And you can follow me, the Guru Scouting MMA, Twitter, Verdict, Instagram, Picket, Tapology, and Bet MMA. We are back next week in the Apex with Perez, with Alex Perez and Tatsuro Taira getting a huge call up to the main event. Crazy fight. I'll be doing it from Florida, so I'm not sure if we're gonna bring a guest. Gonna probably try to do a little bit of a quicker show, but we still want to get one out for sure. Gonna get all the bets in and do as much tape as I can. Thank you all so much for joining in. That's it, right? Let's get money. Come on. Get that music, baby.